আসসালামু আলাইকুম সুধী দর্শক, এই কোয়ান্টাম মুখোশ সিরিজের আজকের 47তম পর্বে আপনাদেরকে স্বাগত। আজকের এই প্রোগ্রামে আমরা লন্ডনে একজন একটি ভিডিও আপলোড করেছেন। আমাদের এই কোয়ান্টামের ব্যাপারে বিভিন্ন ভিডিও সিরিজ দেখে উনি আমাকে যোগাযোগ করেছিলেন। আমি ওনাকে বলেছি যে দেখুন, এই অনুষ্ঠানে যারাই আসবে তারা নিজেদের বক্তব্যের জন্য রেসপন্সিবল থাকবেন, এবং আমি উভয় পক্ষকে আহ্বান করেছি তারা যেন তাদের কথা এসে বলেন, এবং যারা যেই কথা বলবেন তারা ব্যক্তিগতভাবে অবশ্যই সেগুলি ওনারা ডিফেন্ড করার জন্য যেন প্রস্তুত থাকেন। কোয়ান্টামকে বেশ কয়েকবার আমরা আহ্বান করেও তাদের কাছ থেকে কোনো সাড়া পাইনি, বরঞ্চ আমি সহ বেশ কয়েকজন তাদের অনুসারীদের দ্বারা হুমকির সম্মুখীন হয়েছি। বিভিন্ন রকম সিরিয়াস অ্যালিগেশন আসছে তাদের বিরুদ্ধে। এর ভিতরে এই লন্ডন নিবাসী আমাদের বাংলাদেশি বংশোদ্ভূত একজন নারী, যিনি ইংরেজিতে একটি ভিডিও করেছেন। ভিডিওর কন্টেন্টস গুলো বেশ সিরিয়াস ম্যাটার, যেগুলো আপনাদেরকে অনুরোধ করব আপনারা যারা ইংরেজি পারে তাদের সহায়তা নিয়ে আপনারা যেন সেগুলো প্রচার করেন এবং সেগুলো নিয়ে আলোচনা করেন। এবং আমি কোয়ান্টাম ফাউন্ডেশনকে আহ্বান জানাবো, ওনাদের পক্ষে যদি কেউ থেকে থাকেন এটার ব্যাপারে কোনো রেসপন্স দেওয়ার, আমি ওনাদেরকে প্ল্যাটফর্ম দেবো। আমাকে যোগাযোগ করার ইমেল নিশ্চয়ই ওনাদের জানা আছে। তাই এই বিষয়ে যতখানি সময় নিউট্রাল ভূমিকা পালন করার চেষ্টা করছি। তবে এখন পর্যন্ত আমার অবস্থান হচ্ছে সবকিছু চিন্তা ভাবনা করে কোয়ান্টাম ফাউন্ডেশন একটি কাল্ট ছাড়া আর কিছুই না, যার প্রধান এই তথাকথিত মহাজাতক। এটা এক ধরনের হিপনোসিস এবং ব্রেইন ওয়াশিং। তো যাই হোক, ওনার কথাগুলি শুনুন এবং আমি চেষ্টা করবো কোনো এক সময় সেখানে সাবটাইটেল যুক্ত করতে। আমি নিয়ে যাচ্ছি আপনাদেরকে সেই ভিডিওতে। আমি সরাসরি ওনার চ্যানেল থেকেই এটি শেয়ার করার চেষ্টা করছি। চলে যাচ্ছে আমি তার ভিডিওতে। দেখতেই পাচ্ছেন ওনার ভিডিও। আমি আপনাকে শুনুন।
This video presentation is about my experience in quantum method. This meditation group based in Bangladesh, but they have cells around the world. I myself, I work in field personal development, and I was looking for so that hopefully other people. Hello. This video presentation is about my experience in quantum method. This meditation group based in Bangladesh, but they have cells around the world. I myself, I work in field personal development, and I was looking for some information about what's out there, and I happened to stumble across a YouTube channel called Quantum Crimes. So that's where I found out about a kind of organization that's been started for exposing this group. So I really wanted to tell about my story, my own story, so that hopefully other people might be able to have more insight about my own experience. I didn't see my kind of angle out there, so I thought that it'd be very helpful, and so that's why I tried to reach out, and I came across Mufassal Islam. So I contacted Mufassal, and he's invited me to tell my story, which I didn't want to do at first because I was quite afraid. I have been afraid mostly. I just wanted to stay clear of quantum, basically. I realized that I've actually managed to overcome so many things in my life, so many challenges. I've managed to overcome, and I'm more settled now. So I just realized that it was a little bit silly, really, this kind of like a pledge of a fear that I was holding on to. and I knew that I'm capable of, overriding this fear. So here I am. And so I will make a start now. It's going to be a long video, I'm sure. So I'm going to ask Mufassal to put different sections underneath. And we will just proceed like that, I think. Okay. So what I really wanted to do with Quantum Crimes is give my story to them, so that not for them to tell my story as such, but because I'm trying to stay away from quantum. But what I wanted was, what I was really expecting is to sort of understand my story and see if there's a different angle in there which they could use to help the other people. And that was really what I was after at the beginning. But I'm very grateful anyway for this opportunity to finally tell my story. Many years ago, I was trying to write a book about my story, but I failed to do that. So I'm so very glad that I've got this opportunity now to really just tell my story as much as I can remember. So a few things about me. My family come from Sylhet. So I'm Sylheti, and when I was born in London, and 6 months later, my parents traveled to Chester and settled there. So I was brought up in Chester. And I moved to London about 25 years ago. And I'm 47 years of age at the moment. And my name in the Bengali circles is Takia. So I'm known as Takia, and I will keep to that name for the purpose of this video. So the other thing about me is I completed a degree in psychology. I have a BSc Honours in psychology. So I just thought it's important for people to understand that anyone could get swiped by, groups like that. Also, I'm an empath. And typically what an empath is they're very sensitive to understanding, feeling other people's emotions, even diseases, problems. Empaths very easily absorb other people's energy, so they tend to stay away from people. They're quite reclusive, usually introverted, and so that's basically my nature. That's that. And the other thing is, I never actually, although I heard about black magic growing up, I never actually believed in it until the year 2012. So I came to Quantum in 2008. 2005. I came to Quantum. 2008. I left the whole thing. I didn't leave. I left Quantum meditation about 2007, and 2008 I got divorced. So anyway, I'll get onto that. But I just wanted to clarify that I'm not someone who was incessantly believing in black magic, and I didn't really have any knowledge about those kind of things. My mother talked about it all the time, that she was inflicted with black magic, but I never saw anything as such. I never saw anything in action. So it was very difficult to comprehend. And so I pretty much went through life thinking positively about situations. But I came to believe in black magic around about the year 2012. Sorry, 2012. And I didn't know too much about it beforehand. But I just wanted to clarify that I didn't go through Quantum thinking black magic is there, that somebody's going to do black magic on me, that they're doing black magic on me. I know it never occurred to me. I just couldn't make sense of what was going on. Okay, so so as I said, my parents come from Sylhet, and I'm typically estranged from my family because my family is a very toxic and dysfunctional family. So I was pretty much for the large part of my life, most part of my life, I was trying to break free from my family. And it's important to understand that was sort of the main reason why I was looking up information at the time in 2005, which led me to find out about Quantum Meditation Organization. So at that time also, so I went to the Quantum Meditation 2005. It must have been about March, April, May, something like that. And just before that time, I was being stalked by someone who had deliberately sought me out to stalk me because I was investigating about some clandestine group. So that was with the police, and that was not an issue when I went to Quantum, but that was more like a recent issue. So that was not the main reason why I went to Quantum. I was interested in Quantum because of what they portrayed in their website. They were a humanitarian group. They said, you're not alone. They were at the same time Muslim. So sort of interested me. I was intrigued to find out more, and that's why I went along. So so let's go back to the time now when I first contacted Quantum Meditation Group. I basically, on my internet travels, I came across this website, Quantum Meditation Group, and I was very intrigued, like I say, and I didn't contact them immediately. I went back a couple of times. I kept going back to the website. Eventually, I decided to just, find out what it's all about. So after I emailed, as soon as I emailed, because there was not any address on the website, I was asking for the address. So as soon as I emailed, I got a reply. And so the venue was in Adler Street, which is just near to East London Mosque. And it was hosted in the building where Icon College is situated. So that's where the meditation sessions were held every Sunday. So I started going there, and the main organizer of that unit was Shah Ahmed Sadiq, and me and him fell in love. So we simply fell in love. So I didn't know too much about the Quantum Meditation Group. I did ask a lot of questions, and I don't think I got too many answers as such, because I got so involved more with him that by the time I sort of was asking these questions, it was a case of, you can ask him when you see him, when we go over to Bangladesh, you can ask him these questions. I think that was what was going on. So I did have some questions and I couldn't get the answers. It was just a case of like, you can ask him yourself. So the first time I met with Shah Sadiq that day when I went over to Quantum, he told me, I don't think he told me that day or some other day, he told me that he was basically preparing to leave, but and he had done something wrong, and he was apologizing to this Guruji for that era. And he was thinking of leaving, but after that, after he apologized, he mentioned nothing more about it. I didn't hear anything else other than one day when I was very annoyed with the quantum group. He said, that's it, he's had enough, he's going to leave everything. But he didn't. So anyway, so this is around 2005, around about March, April, May, something like this. And we got married about 2-3 months later. And after we got married, we traveled to Bangladesh. Sorry, that was a plan, to travel to Bangladesh immediately after. But let me just say, beforehand, before we traveled there was gold jewelry that his mother sent over for me to wear as the bride. And I was very happy about that. So he went over to collect the jewelry, and I was in his car at the time. So I saw that it came through Pasha, this Nahaz Pasha, who is the chief editor of Janamat newspaper, Bengali newspaper. So we received all this gold jewelry, and I was very grateful that somebody cared about me so much. They didn't have to send me so much jewelry, and even Sadiq knew about that. But anyhow, so the jewelry arrived, and my parents and my family were not too keen. They were not too keen, and I don't know what were the reasons, but on the day of my wedding, my mother just was crying so much. She cried a lot, and people were telling her. I remember my hufu telling her, just wish her well. So anyway, I wanted to get married to him, and leading up to the marriage, actually, I had a few dreams. So I will go into that now. The marriage, what I had was, at one point I saw that I rose up from the deep water, and my hairs were standing on end, long hair just standing on end, and I just looked totally freaked out. So I couldn't make head or tail of that. And another one I saw was pyramids. I was there near the Egyptian pyramids, and I saw a laser beam come out from my eyes and pass through the pyramid and go onto the other side. And I can't even remember. Maybe it even bounced onto something and then went out onto another side. And I woke up, and I just understood from that dream that my perception, I have a sharp perception which can see through walls. Actually, I had previously been to Egypt, and I was studying Arabic there, and the teacher told me, not the teacher, the head of the school, he told me that I have a very sharp perception. So anyway, that's another dream which I saw. And then a third dream which I had was I was in a room, and it was dark, and Sadiq was there, and there was a clock, and the time was ticking, and it was getting it was approaching 12 o'clock, something like this. And Sadiq was saying, come on, the time is getting on. It's really getting late. So he either said it right, that's what I understood from him in the dream. So those are the kinds of dreams I had. I also saw a vision of a face which was half dark and half pale, something like this. I saw like a darkened face, but half of it was not dark, something like this. I saw. It was very strange. And and then I had another strange experience, which was that I was sat in the room, and the glass broke. There was a glass of water in my room, and it never happened before, but I touched it and it just smashed into pieces. It just broke and it cut my hand. So I had already started meditation. So since I was going to the meditation group, I'd started the meditation. So those are the kind of things that happened, which I didn't quite understand. I had another dream about his mother, actually, Sadiq's mother. It wasn't very pleasant, but I wanted to think that it was pleasant. I wanted to think, I don't know why I was so mad like that. Instead of seeing it for what it was, I just saw that Sadiq's mother is okay with me, but actually in the dream she wasn't. And I told my mother about the dream in a very positive manner. And she seemed to know that it was not as I was saying. Somehow she knew. I don't know how she knew it. Later I was telling her about the real dream which I had. She said, "Why didn't you tell me that before? You never said that before." So anyway, so those are things that happened before the wedding. So the other things that happened is Sadiq would ask me to do meditation, and there's a particular meditation with the Manchabi. You go into in your mind, you go into a garden and you imagine what you want. So Sadiq would say, he suggested that I should imagine that I am with him there. I was happy to do that, but I just wanted to say that, that Sadiq really wanted me to be married with him. So that was one of the things. And he had, they had some kind of Pir Nana in Bangladesh, and they always seek this Pir Nana's advice about life situations. And so when he asked the Pir Nana about me, the Pir Nana said that the girl is good, but her family is not. So this is what he told me. And then he said he himself went into meditation to observe about me, and he saw that I was covered in head to toe with jewels. Okay. And then there was one time he said to me that he'd run out of cash or something. And I gave him my card. And at that time, I gave him my card with my PIN number and everything. And at that time, I think I had about over 20,000 in my account. And he took my card, and he most likely had to look, but he did not take any money. He didn't use any of the money. And he came back to me and he said, "Thank you for that. Nobody has ever been so kind to me. Not even his own father would do that for him." So I can say this much, that no matter what his history was, he never ever took any money from me. I don't know why, but he took other things. Yes, he's done other things, but he never took any of my money. Okay, now, so we got married, and I think within 3 or 4 days we were traveling to Bangladesh. So we traveled to Bangladesh, and after we got married, we traveled to Bangladesh. My parents traveled with us, and we went directly to Sylhet. We stayed in Sylhet for about 2 to 3 days at the most. Then we went off to Chittagong. In Chittagong, Sadiq had an aunt and the aunt's husband, he worked in the military. He was quite high up. So we stayed there for, I think, another 2-3 days. The plan was to stay for about 5 days. They wanted us to stay longer, but we could only stay there about 2-3 days. 2 days, I think, we stayed there before Guruji gave instructions that we must leave immediately for Lama. So the plan was anyway after Chittagong to leave for Lama, but it just was brought forward for some reason. So there was no reason given. And the auntie and her husband were very surprised by this kind of behavior. So as we were leaving for Lama, the cars kept breaking down, one after the other. Cars kept breaking down. And Sadiq said, you see, they're trying to stop us from getting to Lama. And normally, what's held in the Bengali culture, if something like that happens, is like a sign not to go there. But for him, it was the other way around. So anyway, we traveled to Lama. We had to keep changing over cars. And one incident that occurred was that one time it was really very scary. What happened is we were going over the hill cliffs, and it's like a huge slope, like it's steep slope, and there's no kind of barrier, there's no wall, and you just like slip a little bit, you're finished, just if you just go over the, I don't know how to say it, but it's a narrow path and you could easily just slip. Sorry about that. I got a call from my husband. So anyhow, what happened is we were traveling across these cliffs, and it was dusk time. It was getting very dark. We were in the back of a Jeep, and I just saw the scene where this boy jumped out onto the front of the car, on the front of the Jeep, just as the Jeep was driving, and there was nowhere to turn. You can't just swerve this way, then you're going to hit the wall, crash into the wall if you turn. If you steer left, steer right, you're finished. So you just have to go straight. And I just saw this little boy disappear. I just saw him in front, and then I just saw him disappear. And then I heard this kind of wailing and crying, and I looked back, and I couldn't see anything. I could not see anything, and nobody stopped. Nobody did anything about it. And I said to Steve, what happened to the boy? He said, no, it's okay. He's gone. As if nothing happened. But I don't know. I don't know if I saw straight or not. I don't know what I saw, but this is what occurred to me. So anyway, we got to Lama. Now, I want to ask all these questions that I have about this. Well, it's a bit late now. I've got married, but I have a lot of other questions related to life itself, and the matrix and this and that. So I wanted to ask all these questions, and I was very much looking forward to it. So when we got there, the first morning, he had to go and queue up to ask his Guruji a question, and he was going to inform me about my time session with Guruji to ask him the questions. So when he came back, he told me that it's not now. You ask questions after the ceremony, not now. You don't get to ask any questions now. He doesn't have time, he's got to go, or something like this. I just found it very strange why he was not really willing to meet with me and just have a proper discussion with me. It just felt very strange. So anyway, so we were all going to head back to Sylhet as a delegation. So that was the deal. And then once Guruji got to Sylhet, he was going to run the graduation ceremony, so which lasts for 3 days. It's like 3 or 4 days of just intense seminars and meditation and all that. So we were getting ready to go, and I don't know, I think I have kind of a rebellious streak in my walk and talk, something about me. I don't know. It's something different maybe that people can observe about me. And I just noticed this Guruji, he was sat in his Jeep and he was just staring at me. He was just staring at me, and it was like a shocked kind of staring. It was like, and he was not letting go. And he was like pondering and looking at me and just pondering. And I said to Sadiq, what is that? Why is he looking at me like that? And he had no answer. So I just felt like he was sort of understanding something about me, which was giving him some kind of realization, and it was some kind of concern, some kind of worry. And it's the kind of look that somebody would have if, like, say, if my father was going to worry about me for some reason, and it's out of care, or something like that. I guess it was that kind of a look. But then, what could he be worried about me for? I didn't know. I don't know anything. So we left for Sylhet. Now, the strange thing that happened is we were traveling by coach all the way from Dhaka to, I think it was Dhaka, was it Chittagong? I can't remember. But anyway, from one of those locations, we were traveling to Sylhet. It was going to be a long journey. And Guruji, he was sat right behind us. So he actually indicated that I should sit in front of him. He indicated to Sadiq, and Sadiq said, look, he loves you so much. And he would very fondly refer to me as Boma. And Sadiq was so proud of that. So I was sat in front of Guruji and the coach. And Guruji was just continuously passing me sweets, these kind of, these kind of boiled sugar sweets, one after the other. And I couldn't understand why these sweets were making me burp. I just had one after the other. He just kept passing me sweets one by one, and I kept having them, and I was just burping and burping, and something strange was going on. And I felt like maybe I had an upset stomach for some reason. So that was going on. And then we got to a service station. I can't remember. I think at some point Guruji changed seats or something. But me and Sadiq were having an argument about something. And I cannot remember the details of the argument. And we came to a service station, and he left. He left for a break, and then I left for a break. I went to the toilet, and then I came out of the toilet, and for the life of me, I could not find the coach. I could not find the coach. I wandered around and around. I was going around, and the place where I left the coach, which I thought where the coach should be, it looked like another completely, totally different coach was there. I remembered the steps being like not so shiny, but this one, the steps looked like they were really shiny. And I don't know what it was about the coach. It just made me feel like it's not the one. This is a different one. I could not find the coach at all. And I was getting really worried because I didn't have the phone on me or nothing. And there was nobody with me. And I was just going around and around. And I think eventually Sadiq came out, and I saw him, and then I ran over to the coach. I must have been going around for at least half an hour. That's what it felt like. and I was very scared and worried. So it was really a very, very strange experience. It was so strange that I told my mother about it when I got back, and she said she knew something like that was going to happen. She dreamt about it and this and that. Anyway, so we got back to Sylhet, and immediately it was going to be the graduation ceremony. So we went in, and I kept saying to Sadiq, you know, what if I don't understand him? You know, what if I fail? I had all these kind of reservations, and he said, don't worry. All you do is you just look into his eyes, stay fixated on his eyes. Don't take your eyes off him. Just keep looking at his eyes and you'll be sorted. So he actually stated this a couple of times to make sure I would do that. And so I wanted to just say another thing. My birth name, my official birth name was Janat Tafima Ali. But after we got married, within 2-3 days, we had the registration. And in the registration, just on his recommendation, my surname was changed to Sadiq. So it became Janat Tafima Sadiq. So I just wanted to state that as we go along. And I did, we started the ceremony, and I couldn't really understand him. I don't know, normally I can understand the Bengali language a lot more than what I understood from him. His language seemed like something else. So I was quite panicking really in the graduation ceremony as we were sat there, and I couldn't understand a word of it. I was wondering, what on earth am I going to graduate with? So, yeah, so I just, I just wanted to say something else about the Lama experience, which is that the children, the Lama children that are housed there, they come from the surrounding areas, and we were passing the school one day, and I saw these children. They came up to the windows which had bars on, and they were just standing and staring at us. Now I know that children do that, especially when they see foreigners in other countries as well. They just stand and stare. But this was really very different. These children looked lifeless. They looked like the childlike joy, had been stripped out of them. They just seemed to not have this playfulness about them at all. And, I just wondered about that, why they look so frozen. And I did mention it to Sadiq. Then we went to visit the school itself, and Guruji suggested that I take a picture with the children sat on my lap, and I did that. I'm not sure what the reason was, but I did that. And I just looked at the timetable, and I saw it was so rigid. It was so rigid. They wake up at like 4 o'clock, and it just rotates between study and meditation mostly, and then maybe they have some play sessions. But I definitely saw that they seem to lack the joy that typically children have. That they have this kind of like maybe even a mischievous smile or something. No, nothing was there. And the other thing about Lama is that before we were heading up to Lama, Sadiq suggested that I take the anti-malaria tablets, which he was taking as well. So we're both taking these tablets, which do cause low blood pressure and also some kind of nausea. So as I was increasingly taking these tablets day by day, I was getting sort of weaker and feeling less energetic and all that. So by the time we got to Lama, I just decided to go off them because it was not serving me at all. I thought I'd probably had quite enough of them anyway. So I just wanted to say that about Lama. And so the important point about the anti-malaria tablets is that typically when people enter into cult groups and they're undergoing some kind of intensive program, they are given drugs, kind of like plant medicine, to help make them more suggestible to the program. So I just thought that's probably worth adding. So the other thing about Lama was that there was actually a girl there who was supposedly mentally deranged, and she was unable to speak. I think she just had kind of like a muffled kind of voice or something. And I was told by Sadiq that this is what happens when people speak against quantum. When they talk bad about quantum, this is what happens to them. And it's because divine retribution is passed on them, because quantum is so holy and so fine, and it's God's will. This is what happens. So I'm at the ceremony, and my parents are there. My parents are also participating, and even my uncle, my mama, which is my mom's brother, he lives in Sylhet, so he is also there with his daughter as well. So I have some family members there, and there's probably around 300 people there. And I have front row seat, so I'm sitting there, and I can't remember which day it fell on that this happened, but one of the meditations that the Guruji was going through with us, I started seeing his face, and I saw his face was melting. I saw his face in my mind's eye, because I had my eyes closed. His face was melting. It melted. And you know, like this Indiana Jones film where these Nazi people are trying to take over the Ark of the Covenant, and these ghouls come out, and then they swirl around, and these faces, they melt. They just melt away. Exactly like that. The faces started melting. His face started, Guruji's face started melting. And it melted not away, but it melted into a devil face. It turned into a devil. And I was like, oh my God, in the meditation, when I was seeing this, I was thinking, what is this? What's going on? So I saw that. And I think this was like early on in one of the meditations. This is what happened. And I can't remember if I said it directly after that to Sadiq, but I definitely did tell him about that experience. Now, the next thing that happened was, I think, one of the meditations in the middle or later on, I still don't know really, truly what happened, but I was sat there going through the meditation, and I can't really understand it. I don't know what's going on. I'm just going through the meditation, close my eyes, and at some point, it feels like my soul has come out of my body, and it's just hanging there somewhere, and it's not going out away from my body, and it's not going back in. It's just suspended here, and it was the most painful thing. I felt like I had no control over my body, and there was a huge pain. And I preferred that I would be I would prefer that my soul be just gone and it's dead and died, instead of going through that pain of just being suspended there. That's what it felt like to me. If you're going to go, then just go. If I'm going to go, then I'm just go. But it was not going. And I started chanting Allah, Allah. Just, I've never done it before, but it just came out of me. Intrinsically, it just came out of me. Allah, Allah. And I was slumped over the chair with my face looking down on the floor. And I was doing this. And nobody was coming over. Nobody was coming over to sort me out. You know, I was expecting an ambulance or something, but nothing was going on. I just stayed like that in pain. And then Guruji could see what was going on, but he was just looking around. He was not looking at me at all. And then, because I was sort of lifting my head up just to see, maybe I could see somehow. But it felt like I didn't have control of my body. That's how I can describe it. And so what happened is the Guruji finished his meditation and he came over. He put his hand on my head over here, and I came back. I came back like this, like breathing again. And people had gathered around. My uncle had gathered around. I don't know if my parents had gathered around, but many people had gathered around. I don't know where my parents were. But Shitab Bhai, he runs the Sylhet branch, he was there. And Sadiq came some point later. And so when I looked up to Guruji's face, I saw that he didn't look very impressed. He looked quite annoyed, really. And so I told Sadiq what happened. And Shitab Bhai came and said to me that I saw Sadiq's behavior. He didn't come to you. It took him a long time to come on to you. Definitely Shitab Bhai was there before Sadiq. So anyway, what I wanted to say is that someone came over to me. I think he was a medic student or a doctor. Someone came over to me and he said to me, "Do you have low blood pressure?" I said, "Yeah, I typically do have low blood pressure, yeah." He said, "Okay, so this happens to people with low blood pressure. They sort of faint like that." And I didn't know what to say to him because I had not fainted. I have fainted before and I know what fainting is like. You just collapse. I had not fainted. I was fully aware. I could see, but it was like my soul was suspended. And it, you know, really, that's all I can describe it as, that it was suspended out of my body and I just wanted to go rather than to be staying like that. And so I think something was said about that situation that I fainted. It was not true. I didn't faint. I had some other kind of surreal experience. So after we finished the graduation ceremony, we were still in Sylhet, and I was going through this bout of huge kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It's like anxiety, low mood, and sleepless nights, and general kind of feeling unstable. And Sadiq told me this is normal. After the ceremony, this is what happens because your energies are raising higher and, you know, this kind of thing. So I just went with it. And then, so we stayed there for another few days before we traveled back. So in that time, what happened is I was going through the in-laws things. So I was finding that my mother-in-law wasn't very warm towards me. And I saw that also the same with his sister, you know, saying that they were not warm towards me is rather polite, I think, to put it. It was a bit more than that. So what I couldn't understand is that Sadiq explained to me that Guruji said that the 360 awliyas of the whole of the Sylhet were blessing his sister. She was so special that all of the 360 awliyas blessings were on his sister. Now, what I couldn't understand is I couldn't see her behaviors in that light at all. I didn't see that she was behaving in such a manner to suggest that she was very blessed as a person. To be honest with you, I found her quite negative towards me. And Sadiq knew about this. I didn't really take to her too well. So that was one of the anomalies in my mind, is that how could Guruji say like that about someone who seemed to me was far from it? So that was one of the question marks I had in my mind. And so as we stayed there a few more days, Sadiq took me to a bookshop. He went traveling around seeing some of his old friends, and he took me to a bookshop. And so I remember it was definitely after the ceremony, because that is when he had time to go around. Before then, you have to sort of stay put. So you safeguard yourself in time for the ceremony. We definitely didn't have time to go around beforehand. It was after that, because had it been beforehand, I would not have questioned myself why I saw the shaitan face. But it just so happened that he took me to a bookshop, and the bookshop owner was having a conversation with him about Guruji, and he said that man is a shaitan. And immediately Sadiq started getting very upset and angry, and he wanted to leave. And I don't know, they were having some kind of a slight kind of argument about it. And I just sort of mustered up some strength to ask the man, why do you say that? Why do you say that he's a shaitan? I just wanted to find out what his reasoning was. And he just looked at me very sweetly, because he could see that I was newly married, and it felt like he didn't want to burst my bubble. And he said, oh, because he takes everyone's money. So I just felt like there had to be a bit more to it. But this incident definitely happened after the graduation, because otherwise I would not have questioned that vision which I had about Guruji. I remember thinking, what was that? Why did I see that? And it's only when this man, he said it, that I wanted to ask, because of my own personal experience. I wanted to ask and find out what he meant by that. So my in-laws, sometimes they were not too bad. My mother-in-law, she knitted a bag for me, and that was so kind of her. I did thank her for it, but I didn't notice the warmth as a response. It just seemed like she just knitted it for me, and that was it. Okay. So after returning back from Bangladesh, and I'm not sure if I had it, I think I had this dream immediately after marrying Sadiq as well. But I, at certain intervals, like maybe 3 or 4 occasions at least, in the beginning of our marriage, I kept dreaming that I was getting married to someone else. And I don't know who this person is, an unknown person I was getting married to. So I kept dreaming about that. And Sadiq sort of implied that it's coming from my family, some kind of involvement, some manipulation from my family I don't know, to harm our relationship somehow. But I knew that I was never thinking or going to go along with that. I loved Sadiq, so I couldn't see anything else in my mind. But I did interpret it in another way. I thought that I'm getting married to my life, that there's a new life for me, that, it's not simply a continuation of my previous life, but a new life. So that's how I interpreted it. So after returning back, I had a particular dream, which I remember, which is like, I saw that I was in Lama and two people dressed in black approached me. One was carrying a knife, and the one that was carrying a knife was a lady. And she was showing the knife to me, and she grabbed my purse and took it. And that's all I saw. And I told Sadiq about this dream. Now, after returning back from Bangladesh, another few things happened. Basically, I stopped jogging. Before I got married, I used to go jogging, and I don't know why, there's like some kind of force that held me back from jogging. And there was a day that I had set intentionally to go out jogging, but I just felt like I couldn't go. There's something holding me back, and I didn't jog anymore during that marriage. I can't remember that I think late in the marriage I did try to go jogging, but I didn't succeed in that. Excuse me. So I stopped jogging. And by the way, a purse in a dream signifies personal identity. So on many occasions, I have actually, throughout the last few years, dreamt about my purse being nabbed from me, or money being taken or something. So anyway, that's the first time I saw that my purse had been taken from me. And I stopped jogging, and it came to a point when me and Sadiq had arguments. We were frequently having arguments, or if we were not having arguments, it was like one-way argument. It's like me trying to get a response from him. But I think it was more, we were having arguments. And it was one day we had an argument where he was not complying, he was not responding, something like this. And he left for work, and I sat there. Just crying. And suddenly I just got this idea. I just felt like my life has not gone well so far. I had a divorce before, and now I'm going through some more things, and sorry, not some more things. The first marriage was completely different, non-existent, you could say, but this one was much more engaged, but it was completely different. So I remember feeling so unwanted in the world, and I felt like I didn't have any purpose, and I knew that I could not commit suicide, nor did I want to commit suicide, nor could I even bring myself to commit suicide. This is not something I would do. So I wanted to put it over into the hands of God. So I decided to make a prayer, and the prayer was like, okay, God, Allah, just take me now, instead of someone else. Instead of someone else's life being destroyed, take my life instead, okay? I don't need this life here. There's no need for me here. Please take me. And what happened is I went into a complete zikr. I went into total zikr. And I must have been doing this, crying and saying this for about at least half an hour. And the TV was playing at the time. I just didn't bother turning it off. And after about half an hour or so, there was no raining outside, nothing, but thunderstruck just out of nowhere. And when the thunder struck, it felt like the room had frozen in time, and the TV screen went blank, or it just froze. And I saw a ball of light floating around the TV, just in front of me, just floating round in a round circle. And apart from the movement of that ball of light, the orb of light, small orb of light, there was no other movement in the room, and it felt like the time had frozen. Literally felt like that. And after some moments, it felt like maybe a minute, something like this, which is still big enough to feel that way. The light disappeared, the TV came back on, and the car outside, the car alarm went off, and my hurting, my tears, everything was gone in a flash. I just had this overwhelming feeling of joy and contentment. And I sat there and I thought to myself that there is something that is going to happen in my life. There is some meaning. There is some purpose behind my life. That's why this has happened. That's why my mood has changed. And it's a message for me that there is something for me to do. There is something that will come up. I immediately emailed Sadiq, and I told him about it. I don't think he phoned me, or he may have phoned me back. I don't think he phoned me. I think when he came back home with a much better mood, and he said to me, these things have happened to me as well. Just like that, they happened to me. So he was very happy to hear about what I had to say about what happened. So the other thing that happened in the graduation ceremony is that after, so he signs off the graduation ceremony by saying, and I understood this part, I think he repeated it twice. He said, it doesn't matter where you go, if you leave Quantum, it doesn't matter if you leave Quantum, I will always be with you for the rest of your life. And that was like, okay, so how is he going to do that then? And it's almost like a God, isn't it, really? He's going to stay with you no matter what. So anyway, that happened. And then after the whole ceremony finished, people were just like in their own kind of like area, sat around, not in the seating area, but sat around the sides. And normally I did experience about myself that I have some kind of, like a magnetic personality or something about me that attracts people to me. And people genuinely, I found that they like to speak to me, or they just want to, see what I'm about, or something like this. I normally, wherever I went, I always found this kind of thing, and it would be me who's walking away or something. So anyway, I'm going around this hall, and nobody is coming to me, nobody, and I'm walking around and around, and absolutely nobody is coming to me. And all these people have that similar kind of look, like the Lama children. And I just feel like there's something wrong here. Absolutely, there's something wrong. Why nobody is coming to me? So that happened, and yeah, so after we came back from Bangladesh, in the married life, I was trying to prepare the Quantum Bulletin. It was a monthly bulletin that went out, so I was also busy with that. Now, the IT project which I had before my married life, which I lived for basically, and people that I came into contact with, I said about it that I will never leave this project. I will never let go of this project. And that project just appeared to go on the back burner. Nothing much was happening there. I was not looking out for it. Nothing really was happening. I was just letting it drift. The programmers were supposed to be doing their work, but they halted and I halted, and nothing much was happening there. So anyway, I was getting on with the Quantum Bulletin, and the intention I had with that was I wanted to increase membership. I could envision that where Quantum could be heading could be, gaining a lot more membership and, a lot more participation with, the Bengali community. So that's where it was heading. There was only really a handful of about 7 people who were regularly attending from the beginning of when I started going there. Only about like 7 men and 1 girl. She was a bit irregular, and then very later on, another girl came. She was more regular, but the other girl, I think she stopped coming. So anyway, this is what was going on at the beginning. Now, I had a series of dreams after we married, and the dreams and experiences also went like this. It's like I saw Guruji limping. Quite a few, not quite, let's say 2 or 3 of the dreams I saw him limping. And I saw another dream where we were in a congregation and Guruji was there, and there were bats flying around. And another dream I saw, there was like the ground was shaking. We were entering into meditation session or something, and the ground was like shaking, like an earthquake was going on. And another thing which was happening is that every time I closed my eyes, I could see a one eye looking back at me. Now, I was really, before, in my days, I was doing a lot of research about Dajjal and, the one eye and all this business. So I'd never experienced it before, but now suddenly often when I closed my eyes, I could see this one eye staring back at me. It was like a real live eye. It was just staring back at me. So I didn't know what that was about. Now, just going along, I think probably after about a year, we got a message that my father-in-law, Sadiq's father, probably had about a month to live, something like this. So we traveled again to Bangladesh to see his father. And strange things were going on at that time. I felt out of sorts with his family in general. His father was absolutely fine. Sadiq's father was, well, obviously he was bedridden, but I don't think he followed in just the narrative that is spilled out. So he really took to me, actually. He was very warm, kind, and very loving towards me, actually. I could feel that. And so we went to see him. And as I said, I was feeling out of sorts with the family. I don't know, I was just feeling really out of sorts. And I went to my father-in-law, and I did take care of him only a little bit. It's nothing that significant, but the family were actually quite overwhelmed with that. And I said to Sadiq, this is nothing, I'm not doing anything, hardly anything for him. I said, no, this is a lot of people, they don't do even this. So anyway, I tried to take care of his father, and at one point I went to sit with his father, and Sadiq was there, and Sadiq's mother was there as well, around on her bed, and Sadiq's father was on his bed. And I sat next to Sadiq's father, and he was bedridden, and he grabbed my hand and he put it on his heart. He put my hand on his heart, and he put his hand on top of my hand, and he kept it there like that. And I started crying. I just was so overwhelmed. I don't know where these tears and this crying and this feeling of hurting, crying, just all came out, and I couldn't hold it back, and I didn't know why I was crying. I was crying so much, and I thought maybe it's to do with that he's leaving, but still I couldn't understand why did he mean so much to me that I was crying so much about him. Couldn't hold back the tears, and I took and I was thinking maybe it's because he's departing, and I took hold of Sadiq's hand, and I placed Sadiq's hand on top of his father's hand like that. I put his hand there. Sadiq's father pushed his son's hand away, was trying to push it away, but my hand was on top of Sadiq's hand. I was trying to push it down. So all these hands together on his heart, and I'm trying to push it down. I'm forcing Sadiq's father not to take his hand, not to remove his son's hand. I'm forcing it, and the whole time I'm crying. I look at Sadiq, and Sadiq just sort of stands back and is a bit alarmed with the whole situation. And then we've got Sadiq's mother. She's saying, he wants a massage, just give him a massage. And that was going on there. So Sadiq's father does pass away within a month after we returned back from Bangladesh, and Sadiq travelled back for the funeral. I didn't go, that was that basically. But anyway, so the rest of my 3-year marriage, I continued to put my IT project on the back burner. And I don't know how I ended up asking about my career, because I already had a project which I was trying to establish. I think that was the issue, is that why was the project being delayed? But really it was being delayed because I was not taking it by the wheels. But anyway, what was put out to me was that I needed to pay more interest in the healing arts, such as Reiki and natural nutrition, and these kind of modalities, to invest myself in these kind of things. So that's what I did. I selected courses, and there were in total about 7 or 8 different courses I was doing throughout. So in the whole of the 3 years, I've participated in about 7 or 8 training programs of different sorts. So I even done training on film and video. I've done training on website development, a Dreamweaver, and I've done training on singing I went for singing lessons, classical Bengali singing lessons, and I went for a diploma in natural nutrition. I did Reiki all the way up to the level 3, and what else did I do? Metamorphic technique. So many things I did. Oh, the flower essences therapies. Oh, and there was one point that I went to a yoga show, and in the yoga show they had, oh yeah, by the way, I was doing yoga. So instead of jogging, I started doing yoga. And this yoga I was doing diligently between 2 to 3 hours every single day. Let's say like for 3 weeks a month, between 2 to 3 hours every day. I did at least minimum of 2 years. I did that diligently. So I was doing all that, and I went to a yoga show. And in the yoga show, they have like lots of different kind of people who are like light workers, I guess you could call them. And there was one astrologer lady there, and I was asking her about all my things. Like, I've got so many things going on. And she said, one of them is going to become forefront in your life. And which one is it? I asked her, and she could not reply. She couldn't tell me which one it was. And I can tell you, nothing came up forefront. Nothing out of all of those 8 things. Nothing came up forefront for me. So anyway, moving on. So I had all these things going on, and I started having a lot of experiences. I started, because I was doing the natural nutrition. See, with me, it's like when I'm going down the rabbit hole, I like to go in very deep. It's not enough for me to just, stay on the surface level of things. I like to go in very, very deep. So I was, by the way, I was doing chilla. So every week on a Friday, I would do a chilla, which is like meditating, fasting, all this business. I was doing that. And so whilst doing these kind of 7, 8 things throughout the 3 years, I started changing, and I started becoming even more sensitive. Especially my diet changed so much, it went haywire. I turned vegan, I turned raw foodist, and then I even went into breatharian, which is like not eating anything for 3 days in a row. And I did these kind of drastic things. I do understand it now, what I was going through. I didn't really quite get to grips with what I was going through at the time. It was really erratic. So I do know all these things, and I was going through a lot of different experiences. Doing Reiki, I just couldn't be sure what was going on. So anyhow, when I was doing my Reiki practice, I would be saying the Lord's Prayer, I would be saying Fatiha, and I would be doing the Reiki prayers as well along with it. I did not feel satisfied in just staying in one domain. So I was going along, and I start feeling more and more nervous. I just start really, really sort of losing myself, and I became very skinny, obviously, because of fasting and all the things I was putting myself through, and all the studies I was doing, and my project was on the back burner. I started having some weird experiences, actually. I would see, like, on 2 occasions it happened, I would see like a screen open up on the wall. And so on one of the occasions when I saw the screen open up, I saw like children, blonde-eyed, blue-eyed children on the screen. And this is like really high definition. It's not like a dream. It was like very surreal, live kind of event. I didn't feel like I was asleep. It felt like the screen just opened up right in front of me. I was lying in bed, and I could see these children, blonde-eyed, blonde hair and blue-eyed children. And it was like I'm just looking at them. They're just running around and over here. And at a certain point, the scene changes. And it changes to an eye, not a normal eye. It looked like a kind of a serpent eye. And the serpent eye was very, very, very scary. The serpent eye was on the end of this kind of like, you can call it like a serpent, more like a worm, a large, gigantic worm. So this was on the end of this worm, and it was like moving, and then it was almost like coming out of the screen, and it was so scary. I was just like, no, and just like shutting it off. So that happened. I couldn't make head or tail of that. Then another thing that happened is I was sat at home. Sorry, I dreamt that I'm sat at home, and again, it's not a serpent eye, it's like machines with this eye, and it's chasing me around the flat, and there's no getting away from it. So that happened as well. Another time I saw the screen open, and I saw a man outside, and I understood it to be the neighbor lady. She put the ashes of her partner out in the garden. So I understood it was that man's soul that I was seeing that was outside in the garden. What else? Yeah, and another point, I felt like some alien had made contact with me, was trying to, trying to abduct me. And this happened in a very strange way, which is I was lying in bed, and I was sleeping at night, and I saw an alien face. I saw the face of an alien. And the previous day, I had actually seen an alien on the internet. I had actually done that. But anyway, in this dream, I saw this alien face. And I immediately woke up. And then I could hear a whirring sound. Like I can't even mimic it. It's like a computerized whirring sound. And I could see that the door, the bedroom door was wide open. Or I was too scared to look in that direction. It just looked totally pitch black, the door area, as if the door was open and it was going on to the pitch black. And I could hear this whirring sound, and immediately I felt like I was having telepathic communication with this being. And I just said to it, "What do you want?" And it said back to me, "We want you." And immediately I responded, "You can't have me." And that was that, basically. It stopped. Woke up. And I woke Sadiq up. I'm sure I woke him up, and I told him about it, what happened. And I can't remember the rest of it, what happened. I went back to sleep. I didn't go back to sleep that night. I don't know. But I certainly did look up this kind of experience. And I think it was a very real experience, what I had there, with some kind of alien contact. So all these kind of surreal experiences were happening. And the worst thing that was happening was I was feeling very, very nervous and scared all the time for no reason. I just felt out of sorts. And it just came to kind of like an epiphany point where I just had this realization that I just kind of asked myself, why am I having this? And it was like, it's because I've been listening to other people. I've been listening to people instead of turning to God, turning to the real God. So I decided to switch off everything, apart from yoga. Yeah, apart from yoga, I decided to switch off everything. I switched off the meditation. I switched off Reiki. In fact, I contacted a Christian fella. He was speaking against Reiki, and I said, "Look, I'm Muslim. I can't, take on Jesus's blood and, give this oath that I only belong with Jesus. I can't do these things." And yet again, I don't feel 100% in going to the imams, So, but I knew that there's one God. And anyway, so the man, he said, "Look, just throw everything away. Throw the Reiki books and all the training material and everything. Throw it all away. And then, just get on with your life." So that's what I did. I think I wanted to throw the Reiki manual away, but Sadiq offered that he will take it from me and he will do away with it. He wants to do something with it. He will take it from me. So I think that's what happened. So I started changing. And the other thing I have to tell you what happened is, when I used to go back to my parents' home, my brother would be playing the Quran recitation at his computer. And one day I walked in and I sat at the computer to do something, and it was playing, the Quran was playing. Suddenly I felt so much peace, and this nervousness and this scary feeling, everything just disappeared for that moment. So I told Sadiq about this, and I felt like there had to be something in it. So after dropping all this, I decided to continue with my yoga and then listen to the Quran recitation. I had a collection of the whole Quran on CD. So I, after doing the yoga every morning, I would go lie down in bed and just put this CD on and start listening. And before that, I think before listening to the Quran, I was typically looking like a ghost. I was looking like a ghoul of some sort, absolutely frazzled. So when I started playing these Quran CDs, I noticed that I would slip into some kind of like deep slumber, and I would be healed from listening to the Quran. That's what I thought was going on. And what would happen is I would go lie down where Sadiq, the space, the area of the bed where Sadiq lays down, that's where I would lay down, because I don't need to go further into the bed. I just stay on the edge, and that's where he sleeps. And every time I slept there, I could feel, every time I went to lay there, I could feel the anxiety. There was like deep, deep anxiety just laying there in that space where normally Sadiq would sleep. And I just lay there, and I would feel that, and then I would listen to that, and I would deliberately listen to that Quran in his space so that he could get some healing from it. And unfortunately, every time that I lay there, I would feel this deep anxiety there, restlessness. So that's what happened there. So when I inquired about doing the master's, it was declined. I was not granted permission to do the master's level in quantum meditation. So, but Sadiq tried to make up for it. He ordered some different kinds of meditation CD, and when I played that and listened to it, I used to get a pain in the back of my neck. And he asked the company about it, and the company said they've never had a single person say that about their meditation CD. But it could happen. It could happen that a person is not aligned with their meditation CD. So yeah, I just wanted to say that even though I was not allowed to go into the quantum master's level, Sadiq tried to make up for it. He did try to educate me with what would have been going on in the master's level, I guess. Now, other things which happened whilst I was still in quantum was that this Guruji and Maji, they would come round every year, and they would have a ceremony, graduation ceremony, and they would go on a trip somewhere, something like this. So the first time they came around, there was a trip to Stonehenge. So I think we had done the graduation ceremony, and it was after that the trip to Stonehenge, I believe so. Now, they came and stayed in a flat in somewhere around the Stepney Green area, I believe, like where the PC World is, that kind of area, but on the opposite side somewhere. I couldn't for the life of me tell you where exactly it is now. Couldn't get there. But anyway, so the Guruji and Maji, they were offered a flat. It belonged to Nazrul Islam. He is the other co-worker for the branch in London. So they were put up in that flat, and Sadiq came and said to me that Maji would like me to stay over at their flat for 1 or 2 nights. And I just found it a little bit strange, and I didn't really warm to it at all. I was just going to feel awkward if I stayed with them. And I asked Sadiq, well, why did they want me to stay there? And he said, well, you just, wake up and set them some breakfast and this and that. And I knew that I would just feel very awkward. I would feel very awkward with that. So I declined to do that. And I declined with Sadiq to do that. And then when we went to visit them, which was after the Stonehenge visit, before, I think it was after the Stonehenge visit, we went to visit, and I had a one-to-one session with this Guruji. As you do, I was permitted to ask him any question. I forgot actually. So okay, I'm sat with Guruji having this one-to-one, and I asked him a couple of questions. I asked him about my career, and he says it's healing. Healing is the one for me. Healing arts is the one for me. And then I asked him about a certain dream I had, which is where we were traveling on a train, me and people who were in quantum. We're traveling in the train, and the train is just going at a speed, and I can hear the sound of the train moving. It actually slows down, and it goes. and then it stops. And the reason why it stopped is because it's approached, well, kind of like a ditch, but the railway line has so far been going across an ocean. It's just water all around, nothing else. And it stopped because the railway line is broken, and next to the railway line, next to where it's broken, there's a ditch. As it goes in dreams, it's just weird. So we all got off the train, and Guruji is there with us in the ditch. And the next thing is that I see that another train has pulled up, and this train is brand new. It's very shining, glimmering, very posh. And I have gone inside the train. I'm inside the train, and I can see that Sadiq is also inside the train. He's standing next to the entrance of the train as if he's directing me in, as if he's just making sure that I've got in, something like this. So I'm inside the train, and there's a man there, and he points to a seat. And he says, "You sit here." He tells me, "You sit here. This is your seat."
সুধী দর্শক, আপনারা এতক্ষণ শুনছেন ওনার কথা। আমি এটার বাকি অংশ এর পরের পর্বে আপলোড করব। সেটা হবে এর পার্ট বি। দেখা হচ্ছে সুন।